mantra, the wisdom mantra, the answer pass mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth not mere formality, therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra,
we'll take a koan number 5 in this Mumonkan. I think Gerd yesterday mentioned this, the main case. Master Kyogen said, it is like a man up a tree who hangs from a branch by his mouth. His hands cannot grasp a bough, his feet cannot touch the tree. Another man comes under the tree and asks him the meaning of Bodhidharmas coming from the West. If he does not answer, he does not meet the questioner's need. If he answers, he will lose his life. At such a time, how should he answer? Mumon's commentary, even though your eloquence flows like a river, it is all to no avail. Even if we can expound the great Buddhist literature, it is also of no use. If you can really answer it, you will revive the dead and kill the living. If, however, you are unable to answer, wait for Maitreya to come and ask him. The poem, Kyogen is just gibbery. How vicious his poison is. Stopping up the monks' mouths, he makes their devil's eye glare. It's a dramatic story. So Kyogen belongs to the end of the 9th century. He was a disciple of the famous master Isan. And so Isan and Kyogen were first students of another famous master Hyakcho. But then Kyogen became student of Isan when Hyakcho died. Kyogen, it is said, was very learned man. And so Isan, his master, one day asked him, see, when you were with our teacher Hyakcho, you were clever enough to give 10 answers to a single question and hundreds of answers to 10 questions. So you are very clever, you could answer everything. But tell me, what is your face before you were born? What is your, actually it is phrased, even before your parents were born. What is your face before your parents were born? You see, your original face. And Kyogen, of course, these are all sort of new questions. So went into all the Buddhist literature, philosophies. He couldn't find an answer. He begged his master, please tell me. And his answered, if I tell you it is my answer, you must find your own answer. And finally, Kyogen in desperation left the monastery, and there was a famous Zen Master, it's called a national teacher of the Zen Master's cemetery. And he went there, was cleaning the cemetery, keeping watch over the cemetery. I don't know how long he was there. One day he was, sweeping the ground, you see, bamboo sweeper, and then a pebble struck a bamboo, and the noise, of course, was heard, tung. And something sort of happened to Kyogen. He was deeply enlightened. He went to his room, lighted the incense, and made the prostration towards his master Isan. And it is said, he said, Master, your great compassion, I thank you. Had you told me the answers, I would never experience this realization. And so then, of course, he came back to Isan and studied with him. This point, of course, the Kyogen, first, it's not enough to study our literatures, philosophies. They are good, they are necessary, but not enough. You have to realize for yourself, even getting the answers from the teachers. See, I can give all the koan answers, but of course, that will not be your own. You have to realize, you have to sort of experience for yourself what is what. And so, and the Kyogen, it's said, made a poem, but it's, I need not tell all that, that's enough. This koan is a very dramatic koan. The meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West. I think most of you know, Bodhidharma is supposed to have an Indian monk who went to China and taught this form of meditation. And then it is said that he went to Shaolin monastery, the mountain, and stayed there. And how he stayed? He meditated in a cave for 7 years facing the wall. He didn't come down. And he got finally one disciple. So, of course, now Shaolin Center is famous for martial arts. It is said Bodhidharma taught also martial arts because there were a lot of bandits and they were sort of robbing the monastery. So he taught the monks to defend themselves. And they say these martial arts originally went from Kerala. We don't know. Likely, perhaps they learned. So Bodhidharma himself supposed to have gone from Kanchipuram, Tamil Nadu. See, there are legends. We don't know for sure. But anyhow, what is the meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West? West is, of course, India. To China, it is West. So coming from the West, what is the meaning? It's supposed to be a sort of phrase in those days that simply means, what is the meaning of Zen? It means, how do I realize the reality of Zen? It also means, finally, how do I get liberation? How do I get enlightened? That is in a nutshell. So how do I awaken? See, the koans, remember, Zen koans are beautiful, almost all of them. The koans don't give you answers exactly. What they do is, they open your eyes, help you to realize. Realize means make real your own reality and the possibilities of your very life. They open you, look, that is what. And they sort of ask you to question yourself and open you to the possibilities. That's all. And then you have to realize for yourself. That is a koan practice. Now, the koan, of course, it is, Kyogen says, the man was running, we don't know what happened, the story, he's hanging with the mouth, catching with the teeth, the branch. And there's only one branch, nothing else he can hold. He cannot even put your feet in some support, no security, nothing. And he's hanging. And at that time, the koan says, at that time, somebody comes below and asks the same meaning. What is the meaning of coming from Bodhidharma coming from the West? That means, please tell me, how do I get liberated? How do I come to awakening? He's a desperate need. Actually, this is, perhaps, Kyogen took a parable of the Buddha and transformed it into the story. I read the parable. It is given in Paul Repp's collection. Also, our friend Karen also put that story in the Zen stories. And so, the Buddha told a parable in a sutra. A man traveling across a field encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from above. Trembling, the man looked down to where, far below, another tiger was waiting to eat him. Only the wine sustained him. 2 mice, one white and one black, little by little started to gnaw away the wine. The man saw a luscious strawberry near him. Grasping the wine with one hand, he plucked the strawberry with the other. How sweet it tasted. You see, the story, of course, is a little different from Kyogen's story. 2 mice, I suppose you know that, one white, one black. What are they? They are night and day. And that means night and day we are dying. We are hanging only a thin thread for our life. See, our life is sort of precarious, fragile. We are just hanging in a thread of life. And night and day we are dying. You see, we are dying, and very soon we will die, you see, and we will fall down. And we are, the man, sort of, some stories say honey, fell down, but, strawberry. And he eats a strawberry, and we forget our situation. We are enjoying our ordinary pleasures and life and going on. And so that is the Buddha's story. But this is the first point. I put in 4 points. First point, we must realize, you see, we are facing death, you see, daily. Our life sort of hangs. My own friends recently, 3-4 months, sort of quite heart attack and so on, died. Anytime we can die. See, they don't remember that. Not only our death. Look at the planet Earth. It is a minute one, like a sand, that's all in the whole space of the universe. It is swirling around. It's hanging, our planet. And we are hanging on the earth. That's all. So there is nothing secure, you see, no security. So we are all sort of living our contingent life, so to say, precarious life. One philosopher, talks about quoting the biblical Ecclesiastes. He says, vanity of vanities. All life is vanity. Vanity means it is meaningless. It's empty. It flows. And there is Hemingway is a famous novelist, He uses in Spanish, vanity or nothing means nada. And then, the short story, he uses this phrase nada. It was not fear or dread. It was nothing that you knew too well, a character in the story. Nothing too well. It was all a nothing, and a man was nothing too. It was only that, and the light was all it needed, and a certain cleanliness and order. Some lived in it and felt it, but he knew it was all nada y pues nada. Y pu nada, y pues nada. Our nada, who are in nada, nada be thy nada. Nada be thy name, thy kingdom nada, thy will be nada, in nada as it is nada. It is not a funny thing that simply means, our whole life is nada in a sense. See, death itself is not a problem. We all die. Death is not such a problem. The problem is meaninglessness. What is the meaning, you see? And when we die, do we fall into utter extinction? Nothing? No more? Is that all? And when we are living, what is the meaning of life? What are we living for? See? And so here, he's hanging and then sort of eating a strawberry, simply. Is that all for our life? Is there something more? Okay. And so, And that is our question we have to sort of ask ourselves. We are living with the death. But remember, it does not mean you have to be sort of in despair and sort of only thinking about death. It's not that. But we must also face our death. Our life is all the time facing death. Remember, you see. Dharma in Mahabharata, there is a story. All his brothers die drinking a poisoned water. And then he comes, he also wants to drink the water, and then the God Dharma, you see, Dharma means sort of righteousness, and asks him, answer me a question, you see. And then 3 questions they ask. One question is, what is the great marvel in the world? And Dharma answers, Dharma is Yudhishthira, you see, he answers, the marvel in the world is, everybody is going to die and nobody thinks that they are going to die. They are living as if they are not going to die. So that is the Yudhishthira's answer. But remember, but still, we are not living only in precariousness, in sort of despair. There is life sort of, basic human trust. Without trust, we can't live. Trust, it is something like, we trust each other. Not only trust each other, it is one psychologist Erik Erikson has called it basic trust. We've got a fundamental basic trust. We trust each other. We trust our parents. We trust our society. Not only that, we trust the world. We trust the earth. It's precarious. It is hanging by a thread. But we trust. Without trust and faith, we can't live, you see. And so we trust all those things, you see. But at the same time, our trust, can we really trust? Can we trust 100%? Simply because our life, is precarious. So many tragedies, tsunami, earthquakes, and whatnot, all those things, and accidents, everything happen. How do we trust? And more than that, the evil in the world, tragedies, murders, rapes, how can we trust human beings? See, how do we trust human beings? How do we trust the universe? How do we trust the earth? How do we trust so much evil? That is the problem. See, think of so much, you can think of also the great evils, Holocaust or whatnot, you see. And human beings are murderers to each other. Can we trust? See, that is the question. And one Zen Master, he said, Buddha Shunan, you see, Bunan, he said, Shudo Bunan, he said, in this life, in these things, die, completely die, and then everything will be good. I mentioned human beings' trust. At the same time, it is a question, you see. And so, this man is hanging. Can he trust? Can he trust the branch? And what security is there? Sort of thing. And finally, in the Zen will say, die, let go, fall. And when you die completely, it's not of course physical, but it is much more sort of psychological, spiritual. When you let go, die, then you come to life. We must learn to let go. And then we will learn how trust is a sort of transcendent trust. I tell you a nice story. It's supposed to be a Jewish story. A father put a ladder and about, a little boy, his son, asked him to climb and then of 10 steps, jump, I will hold you. And then 15 steps. Jump, I hold you. And the topmost said, my son, don't be afraid. I am your father, I will hold you. Jump. And the son jumped. The father stepped outside. He fell down, broke all his face, and bleeding, and looked up at the father. And it's a story, you see. So, my son, you see, never trust a man, not even your father. But of course the story goes, he says, never trust a Jew, not even your father. The question is, can the boy trust afterwards? The question for you, can the boy trust afterwards? You see, that is our question. Our life, so many abandoners, so much evil, so much tragedies. How do we trust? See, how do we have faith? And this is the sort of thing, it's a sort of religious dimension ultimately. Humanly you can't do. Humanly, I know some of my friends, all the time paranoid, sort of suspicious, they can never trust, and they are constricted, living life like that. And you can't, if you are human, you can't live like that. You have to learn to trust. How? It is a religious trust in a sense. You let go, there is no security, and without no security you trust. You have to trust the human beings, you have to trust the world. Of course, you have to be sort of prudent, but we have to trust. There is a poem, T.S. Eliot's poem, I quote, I said to my soul, be still and wait without hope. For hope would be hope for the wrong thing. Wait without love. For love would be love of the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the faith and the love and the hope are all in the waiting. Wait without thought, for you are not yet ready for thought. So the darkness shall be the light, and the stillness the dancing, whisper of the running streams and winter lightning, the wild thyme unseen and the wild strawberry, the laughter in the garden echoed ecstasy, not lost but requiring, pointing to the agony of death and birth. The agony of death and birth. We have to sort of die and be born. And this birth takes place. This birth, Zen calls it awakening. That is awakening. When you awakening, Zen means it has many dimensions. Awakening also it means you come to a deeper, transcendent, we can say, trust and faith. You see, without hope, faith without faith, love even where there is hatred, but you hope and believe and love in the face of all those things. That is a Zen awakening. When you awaken to this dimension. But it means also, what it means, first and basically, you sort of realize you are unconditionally accepted. You are unconditionally affirmed. That's a deep thing. The man hanging on the branch, actually the koan answer is, actually the first, there are two answers basically, you see, you have to give answer. The first answer is, whatever situation you are in, that is your situation. Whatever situation you are in, you are hanging, hang. That's all, you see. Be that in that situation, totally, unconditionally. That means, it's not simply situation. You learn to be accepted, you realize you are accepted unconditionally. You are all right. That deep sense. You are all right. I wrote out this talk because I wanted to somewhere to send somewhere else. And so there is one Sibayama, actually, this master, he says, it's very beautifully. Let me quote also this, the man of real freedom would be the one who lives in peace in whatever circumstances cause and effect bring about. Whether the situation be favorable or adverse, he lives it as absolute situation with his whole being. That is, he is causation itself. He never dualistically discriminates different aspects of the situation. His heart is never disturbed by any outside elements. When he lives like this, he is a master of cause and effect, and everything is blessed as it is. The eternal peace is established here. This is the indescribable spiritual happiness a Zen man enjoys. And further he continues, an enlightened man is one who has completed his training and has been fully enlightened. He is a man of Satori who has accomplished his emancipation and attained eternal peace. He is not subject to retribution or transmigration. To be free from the chain of causation is the ultimate aim of the discipline of Mahayana Buddhism. You see, that means you are free. Free means you wholly accept the situation and you are unconditionally accepted. The situation and yourself, you are one. You live in this unconditional acceptance, you see. The man hanging on the branch, you must realize, that is who you are. You are hanging in life. And learn to accept. And learn to sort of find peace. That is your peace. And be that in whatever situation there. Of course, it does not mean you cannot change and so on. Zen is creative. Change when you can change. But then, that is your life situation. That is your life situation. Find the peace and joy, you see, and so on. When there is another Zen koan, he says, when the kalpa fire flares up, kalpa fire means end of the world, in the Buddhist cosmology, also Hindu cosmology. And when the end, the universe comes, there is a kalpa fire. It will burn everything. So when the kalpa fire flares up and the great cosmos is destroyed, I wonder, will it perish or not? That means your true self. Will your true self also perish? And Teisho said, it will perish. And the monk said, then it will be gone with the other. That means it will be gone with the whole cosmos. It will be gone with the other. That does not mean you will be destroyed. That simply means you are one with the whole universe. When the kalpa fire flares up, and you are the kalpa fire, realize. And when your life flares up, you are the flaring of your life. When you are sort of, falling down, that is your life falling down. So, the first level is, I realize the transcendent trust. And that involves unconditional affirmation of yourself. You are accepted. You are all right. That means, remember, when you are accepted all right, with all your humanness, your joys, sufferings, limitation, relationships, all the death, all those things you learn to accept. That is your freedom. Learn to say yes, sort of yes, amen. That is it. And be thankful for the whole thing. That is the first part of the koan, you see. That is a major part. The second part, it's usually when we do koan, it is added. And so it says, you must come down. I didn't finish it in the first part. The first part also is, a man comes and asks you a question. You see, a stranger asks a question. What is the question? Help me for liberation. Help me, show me the way. You see, and in your situation, you must always be a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is the one who cares for the world. You see, I think Gerd also talked about bodhisattva yesterday, who cares for the world. That is what you are. You are hanging on the branch, but then you have to help the person. You see, how do you help? Be a bodhisattva. You see, don't be, once you are accepted unconditionally, that means you must learn to be open to the other. You must learn to respond to the other. If you can't respond, you are not even human. There is what you call, there is a famous philosopher, Wittgenstein, you see, Austrian philosopher who worked in Cambridge, who died some last century, you see. And according to him, he says, if you have to ask why you should be obligated to the other, if you ask, why should I help the other, you are not yet human. You see, you are not yet human. If you are human, you are obligated to the other. You can't escape. That is being human. You are bound to the other. And you have to respond to the other. And so the man hanging, that means in the situation, you are suffering. And then somebody needs also help. You have to help. That is our human sort of being human. But now let me come to the second part. The second part says, this man hanging on the branch, you must come down and answer to the man, because he can't answer exactly, literally, hanging. You have to come down and answer. This is the second part, the koan is not given, but usually we added it, How do you come down and answer? Because the koan says, if you come down, you lose your life. You see, the koan, it reads, if you come down, you will lose the life. How do you answer? How do you answer? Tell me, you are going to lose your life. You see, and then also remember, the phrase is very, very exact. At that time, it doesn't talk about general obligations. It doesn't talk about general duties. It's not about sort of general ethics. Your life is particular, singular, concrete, and your response, your obligation are singular, concrete. You have to answer to the particular situation, not to the whole humanity. That's sort of generalities. Here, particular, at that time, you see, the koan says, at that time, how will you answer? See, and of course, let me explain a little. You see, when you come down, the koan says, you lose a life. What will you do? That means there are two levels of the meaning. You see, first level is, that means, you have to let go all your attachment. It's falling into emptiness. Nada. You see, it's falling into emptiness. Emptiness in Zen, there are many levels, you see. Ultimate emptiness, you read in the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. That level, emptiness is actually a salvation, is a liberation. Only awakening is awakening to emptiness. And when you awaken to emptiness, you are redeemed, you are liberated. That means, first level is, basic level is, sort of, letting go all your clinging, letting go all your securities. And what does it mean? That means your realization, emptiness is yourself. Emptiness is yourself. That is awakening. Emptiness is yourself. That deep sense. Let go everything, you see. Let go all your attachments. That is the meaning of falling and losing one's life. let go everything, you see. And secondly, literally, physically, also, the koan doesn't talk about that, but also I would say, Jesus said, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Not only for his friends, for the stranger also, for the enemies. Maybe also you may have to lose your life, sacrifice your life for the sake of the other. And it's not something what you call extraordinary, it's ordinary. Very often it happens in life, you see. The parents, mother giving the life for the children, father giving the life, friends giving the life, or whatnot. All those it happens, you see. Of course, the koan primarily deals with realizing emptiness, letting go all your attachments. You see, yesterday I mentioned also in the evening, we are too much identified with our attachments. I am this, I am that, and so on. We cling. It's nothing wrong. We have to be attached. It's all right. But beyond all our attachments, beyond all our identifications, who are you truly? And that Zen will say, emptiness is yourself. That is what Heart Sutra says. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Form simply means yourself. Emptiness is yourself. Awaken to that. And that dimension, you see. And that is a Zen koan, you see. How do you awaken to emptiness? You have to show this. Both the dimensions. First, hanging on the branch with your mouth. That is your situation. Can you become free in that situation? Can you accept the old situation? First level. Second level, when you also fall down into this emptiness and die, first spiritually die, you see, metaphorically die. As I quoted Shido Bunen, die, completely die, and then everything will be good. Die, completely die, you see. And then you will sort of awaken to this dimension, that deep dimension. And so, but I add also, maybe even literally sometimes you have to sacrifice. We will not be asked very often, you see. But the point is, be open to life like this. It's a gift you received. And learn also to give the gift of life, give the gift of yourself to the world, to others. You have to live. I read Shibayama again. I didn't make this, Let me, this is because he says some nice things I would like to read. Where is that? Yeah. I just read, this is simply for your interest. It's a nice quotation. Master Dogen, there was a Japanese master, said, death, just death, all through complete manifestation. Quotation over. When you die, just die. When you just die thoroughly and completely, you will have transcended life and death. Then, of course, he talks about not physical death, you see. It means, it can mean also physical death. What he means is simply let go everything, you see. Then for the first time, free and creative Zen life and work will be developed. There, cats and dogs, mountains and rivers, sandals and hats will all transcend their old names and forms and be given new birth in the new world. This is a wonder or revival. In this new world, the old provisional names all lose their significance. Listen to an old master who says, a man passes over the bridge, lo, the bridge is flowing and the waters are unmoving. It is said that Jesus Christ rose from the death after his crucifixion. As I am not a Christian, I do not know the orthodox interpretation of the resurrection in Christianity. But I myself believe, however, that Jesus' resurrection means to die in human flesh and to revive as the Son of God, transcending life and death. His resurrection means the advent of the kingdom of God. It is a mysterious work of God to create the new and the true world. There everybody, everything lives in God, and all the provisional names and defilements of this earth are never found in the least. Beautiful quotation, you see. That simply means a new life. Of course, you come back to ordinary life again, but the deep down, that realization, awakening must be there, you see. When you are there, that is our Zen practice. When you sit and practice, you come back to this dimension. What dimension? Emptiness. Yourself is emptiness. Emptiness is seated on the cushion, and you are sitting also in emptiness, and you are embraced by infinite love. That dimension, that must be sort of core of yourself. Then go back, live your ordinary life, enjoy, suffer, laugh and cry, do ordinary life. But deep down, that must be there, you see, transformed life. And that's why we need to come back again and again for some meditation to awaken to this dimension, to pay a sort of attention to this. This is who am I? Emptiness is the myself, that deep sense. Then go back. And the emptiness is form. All the world also is emptiness. Live your life. And so that much is enough. And so remember this koan. How will you answer the man who is coming and asking this question? You see, what is the meaning of my life? How do I get liberated? Please help me. If you don't help, nobody will help. But you are hanging on the branch. How will you help? How will you answer? That is a question. That is a koan, you see. Your whole life you have to answer. See enough. Take the page 13.
All precepts and teachings come to this one.
Bodhisattva would say.
Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva vow.
When I look at the real form of the